Guess I play semi-pro, right?
No, man, you worse. You Sunday League.
All right, hello and welcome to the Sunday League podcast, your home for all things MLB and Fantasy Baseball. Today we've got a special interview with Drew Needham of the Western Carolina Catamounts. We'll go ahead and jump right in. Drew, if you want to just give us kind of a general intro, who you are, what you do, what you play, and we'll go from there.
My name is Drew Needham. I play for Western Carolina University. It's a Division I baseball program in North Carolina. I play first base, left-handed hitter. Played this past summer for the Martinsville Mustangs, and
Nice.
Glad to be on here.
Awesome. Well, cool.
Yeah, he's also my cousin.
Well, if you want to go ahead and jump in, he's also cousin of Cale Davis.
Yeah.
Legend in the making. I guess first thing would be just kind of give us a review of your season personally from this past year as a team. You guys did have a coaching change, so we'll get into that a little bit later, but just kind of a review of, how you think you guys did.
The record wasn't good. Obviously, we didn't win a Southern Conference championship, so that was our goal all year. We came up short of our big goals, but about halfway through, when we were having like a bunch of injuries and a bunch of we didn't have the same pitch and rotation, I would say, for more than 3 weekends in a row all spring. So it was really hard to get any consistency on the mound. We were having guys in and out of the lineup. It was really, really tough to get any just traction and momentum built up because guys in and out of the lineup, guys in and out of the rotation. You didn't know who was going to start, who was going to close, anybody in between. So it was a tough season. I think it was more injuries and stuff like that got a hold of us. The coaching change, it was definitely a different pace, but it was a nice new perspective.
Yeah.
Where'd that coach come from, Drew?
The coach came from Georgia Southern. He was the hitting coach at Georgia Southern, but before that, he was the hitting coach at Western for probably, I think it was 11 years or something like that, for a while.
Oh, wow.
And he played at Western, went and played pro ball, and then got hurt, got released, came back and finished his master's while he started coaching as the volley at Western, and then ended up getting the hitting coach job for a while, and then went to Georgia Southern, and then took the head coach job over.
Gotcha.
Nice.
Very cool. Sweet. Yeah, so I guess next question would be just kind of how did you end up at Western? What was recruiting like for you? What did it look like, as far as showcase ball, getting recruited out of high school? What was your kind of approach to recruiting?
Yeah, so showcase ball was easily some of the most fun I've ever had in my life. Everybody was there that I played for the Dirtbags. We were always played on the top team in my age group, and in our age group we had the most Division I commits in the history of Dirtbags actually. So It was a lot of fun. I mean, I hit 3 or 4 hole every day between our leadoff was going to ECU, our 2 hole was going to State. I went to Western. And then we had another guy going to UNC, a guy went to Oklahoma State. We just had a bunch of dogs on that team, and everybody just wanted to win. Our team motto was JFW, which means just effing win. So
Love it.
Yeah.
That was pretty much the whole thing. We won a couple World Wood Bats, a Wilson Premier down in Florida, and then ended up getting second place in Jupiter. But it was a lot of fun. Recruiting started pretty early. It was before the new rules came into play. So, the new rules are you can't talk to schools until August 1st your junior year.
Mm-hmm.
So I started talking to some teams going into my sophomore year, and ECU was the first team that I started talking to. Fell in love with them, went on a couple visits and everything, and then pretty much I had one more visit, and they told me they were going to offer me on that visit, but then the whole recruiting stuff happened. The whole recruiting stuff happened, and we ended up stopped talking until pretty much August, and then had to restart that. I talked to like NC State, UNC, App State, um, who else? ECU, obviously Western, and went
Auburn.
on some visits to NC State, UNC, like Auburn. Yeah, so Auburn was I fell in love with Auburn because first time I ever went down there, I got 50-yard line tickets to an Auburn LSU football game,
Wow.
Solid.
and so
Yeah.
you
That's a good pick.
yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, it was like you get there Saturday morning, you tailgate all day, like free food, whatever you want, like they're just leading you around. Got to go tour their facilities. Josh Donaldson has like hooked them up a lot. So has Frank Thomas, and they just have sick facilities there. And talked to them for a little while, and then Western being close to home. Like I'm a small town kid, never really been like the only reason I ever traveled was because of baseball, really. And so recruiting, talked to a couple different schools. And then got like some preferred walk on stuff, but then never really like had anybody really pull the trigger on me. And went to Western. It felt like home on the visit, and the coaches knew a lot of people that we knew from back home and stuff, and they basically gave me a good enough deal that I couldn't turn it down, especially with coming in knowing that I could compete to play as soon as I got there. Like there was never any talks about redshirting, never any talks about needing to develop and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, with you playing with the Dirtbags, what'd you think of honest opinion about y'all's uniforms, like the camo, the yellow camos, and all that kind of stuff? Was it crazy? Was the uni combos crazy when you played with them?
Yeah, we my screensaver for the longest time was a picture of me in it was a black jersey with like a digi camo band around it, and then it said dirt bags in the middle of the digi camo band with yellow, black, and white digi camo pants, and I loved them. Like
Yeah.
we, it was I've always been one to want to have stuff that other people haven't. Like I've always like customizing cleats and gloves and stuff like that because like look good, feel good, play good,
Right.
and if you're going to go out there with some outlandish stuff on, it's going to catch the eye of like scouts and other
Right.
teams, and then you're going to have people following you around, and you gotta ball if you got people like following you around. So, yeah, it was just I guess it just added a little bit of extra pressure. Like you don't want to be the guys that show up looking like douchebags and then play like crap. Like might as well back it up if you're going to look like it. You know?
That's hilarious. I guess in that same vein, so what would be your favorite jersey from Western?
That's a hard one. We were we were we were Adidas my freshman year. We had some all gold jerseys that we would wear every Sunday. It was gold jersey, gold pants, and those were pretty cool. But they felt like you were wearing a carpet. Like they were the thickest jerseys ever, and they were high pants. And I'm a bigger dude, and I don't look great in high pants. So so we moved to Nike my sophomore, and then this past year we've had Nike the last 2 years, and we have a black jersey with a cat head on the chest, and then just the number. It's pretty simple looking, but it looks sick because the way they fit just makes you look it makes you look big.
Yeah.
Because the sleeves are kind of short, and it's like they fit really well.
Hugs you in all the right places.
I guess the
Jeez.
the most classic looking ones we have that are just like you can't beat them. Like anytime we wear them, or it's like the all white with the purple pinstripe that just says Western Carolina across the front of it. You can't beat that with a stick. So
That's awesome. Well, cool. I guess getting past recruiting, you're obviously at Western. You've played a few years, and then Coach Miranda retires, and then you've got new guy coming in. What's kind of the feeling in your head, but also the feeling kind of across the team?
Well, our initial thought was pretty much everybody in my class, since we were juniors, like rising juniors at the time. We had just finished our sophomore year. It was right when we got back from the conference tournament after sophomore year. And new guy coming in, like I haven't put up the best numbers ever, but we've had other guys that have put up good enough numbers to leave and stuff. So we basically all talked to each other. Like I didn't know if I was going to stay. A lot of other guys thought about leaving, and it was like the guy that came in, Coach Beck, he called us, like called the sophomore class, like rising junior class, and was like, we need y'all. Like we're not going to be bringing in 40 dudes. I love Western. I've followed y'all. Like he told us his whole spiel and everything, and we were like, all right, we'll ride with you. So he gained our trust from day one, and he's lived up to every word he said. And he has been an awesome coach. Like he's not one of those, like Coach Miranda was a baseball guru, like a defensive guru, and he loved to talk. Like every situation he would find some way to like make it a teaching moment. But Coach Beck is just like, this is what we're doing today, and then if we don't do it right, we're going to do it again. But he's not going to find reasons to like make things take longer.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, that's huge. Going back to you saying like, him calling you and saying like, listen, we need you, because I played at Averett, small D3 school, but we had a coach change after my freshman year. I'll never forget the coach. Like I went to the field to work on ground balls and hitting and stuff, and he was there, and I was like, what's your plan? He said, I really don't care if you stay or not. Like if you want to leave, you can leave. And right then and there, I knew I was leaving. Like not because not like it's not that like I needed him to need me or anything, but like that's a trust between coaches and players, and and like I don't know, it was the way he said it mainly. Like I understand that mindset of like if you don't want to be here, you can leave, but at the same time, like don't be a douchebag or you're not gonna, and I mean look at Averett now, they can't keep players, which he's gone, so he didn't last very long. I wasn't surprised about that.
I mean, I think I think another big thing is like obviously in baseball, if you don't have confidence playing, you're not going to do worth a crap.
Right.
Like if you question yourself for a second on the mound, in the box, like even fielding a ground ball, catching a pop up, I mean it's not going to happen in your favor.
Right.
So like as you keeping confidence in yourself is huge, but also like having that confidence like backing you up from like your coaching staff believes in you, then that's going to help you even when you're struggling.
Yep.
Right.
100%.
Yeah, almost confidence put into you, even though you might not have it. It helps a lot having a coach put confidence in you.
For sure.
Casey,
Now
did you
with
want to say
Western
something?
being kind of like I was gonna say with Western being kind of like your lower level D1, are y'all really into like the analytics, or do y'all have like the TrackMan? What kind of resources do y'all have? Kind of like at a lower level D1, that's still a really great program, but isn't obviously like an SEC or an ACC school. What kind of things do y'all have that kind of separates y'all from the big schools, but it still makes y'all very competitive?
Yeah, they don't have the funding that the big
Well,
schools
I mean,
have.
like obviously all the big schools they'll have. Yeah, that's one thing that I was going to touch on was like a big school can put like a TrackMan I think is $52,000 or $58,000.
Yeah.
And you set up a TrackMan on the field, and then like the bigger schools, when we played at Tennessee, we went and hit in their cages because it was raining. Like we didn't take on field BP. Went and hit in their cages, and they had a TrackMan behind every one of their cages, and it was 6 cages.
Jeez.
So I mean
I've never
that's
seen a
7
TrackMan in my life.
TrackMans that we've seen just for hitters, and so like that's right at $400,000. So
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have the resources and stuff to sit there and do that. I mean, we have a Rapsodo, which I'm pretty sure y'all have seen that, to where it's like the portable thing. You set it up however far from home, and it'll tell you like exit velocity and those numbers and stuff. We have one for hitters and one for pitchers, and then like we'll take it into the cages like when it's raining and stuff. And the really fun days are like we always like in the off season we'll have like challenge Fridays, where it's like who can hit the most line drives in a row, or like who can hit the most balls over like 93 in a row, or like who can have the highest exit velocity today. So a lot of that stuff is fun and it's competitive and it makes you better.
I was like,
So
yeah,
that's how we use this stuff. We don't sit there and be like, oh, oh no, I hit the ball at 18 degrees at 101 miles an hour, but I slightly top spun it. That's why it got down in the gap instead of me like hitting a perfect backspin ball at that same the same trajectory and everything, and then
Right.
it possibly coming out at 21 degrees and then being a homer. Like we don't sit there and look at that, and it's like if you know when you get a ball and you know when you don't. So
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's like that kind of stuff is really just overthinking, but you'll also look at like certain stuff that pitchers have and you'll be like, this dude has a really good spin heater. So like, you got to be like a ball above it, stuff like that.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
So y'all are like really, do y'all dive deep into like scouting reports of teams that you're playing, like pitchers and hitters and all that kind of stuff too?
oh yeah, when you go into a game, like we have synergy and then we have like TrackMan reports from other schools and stuff like that, because if you're playing a school with TrackMan, they have to share their TrackMan reports, like their numbers and stuff with you. So it's like you'll get more in-depth pitching reports and stuff from teams that have TrackMan than teams that don't. But also, like Synergy will tell you how fast every pitch is, what pitch it is, and we'll show you like locations and all that kind of stuff. So we go like hitting reports more off of pitching reports for hitters. I can't really speak to what pitchers do a whole lot,
Right.
but as like me as a hitter, we always go through pitching reports before every game on the starters and like the relievers that they think they're bringing in, and they'll show us video on them, what they like to throw, like what they like to throw in certain counts, and then like say a guy he gets behind in a count a lot, and he always comes right back with a heater if he's down in a count. Then obviously you're in a game, oh, I'm 1-0 or I'm 2-0, instead of like a guy that has a lot of off-speed stuff that's just going to flip something in there.
Right.
It's like, no, he's going to try to cram a heater in there, and you just gear up for it and let it eat.
Very cool.
So do we want to talk about hitting? I know we've been talking about it, but
Yeah, I was gonna say, Kayla, you wanna hop in there? Seems like a good
yeah,
segue.
because like Drew, like I said, we're cousins and stuff, so we've talked hitting throughout our lives, especially at, Thanksgiving when we're the youngest by about 50 years. Like me and you have two, because I've told you, like the most impressive thing for me with you is your backside pop. Like your first collegiate home run was a left over the left. It wasn't even left center; it was like left field. Whereas me, like I didn't have that. Like I literally stood on the plate, like literally. I mean, my toe was like almost was on the line, and I just looked to pull everything. Like if it was outside on the plate, it was down the middle for me, so I could hit it up the middle. Like talk about, and we've talked, like I said, we've talked about this off camera, but like the advantages of your approach, letting the ball get deeper, and it helps you adjust an off speed and everything like that.
Yeah, like I've always trusted my hands a lot. Like I've faced dudes that are throwing like 97, 99. Like the hardest pitch I've ever gotten hit off of was 99. But like I've always trusted myself hitting a fastball. Fastballs don't like really get me out a whole lot unless it's like somebody that just can dot it wherever they want to and have stuff to mix off of it. But like I had to learn in college to give myself more room, because guys that throw with velocity and have control can dot a heater in, and you have to jump it. And then sometimes, like, I've always been a guy that likes to get his arms extended. So, like, getting off the plate a little bit, getting my arms extended, and learning how to use the whole field has been like a huge advantage. Like, growing up a Braves fan, watching Freddie Freeman hit, like, he doesn't pull a whole lot. And you watch him take BP, I mean, he might hit one ball to the right side of second base, and it's not on purpose. Like, he's trying to stay inside of everything, hit line drives the other way and stuff, and then just trust his hands in game. And I'm not that over exaggerated about it. Like, I always just try to stay through the middle of the field and just try to like backspin the ball through the middle of the field. And then if I pull it, I pull it. And if it goes a little bit more left to center, then it goes a little bit more left to center. But, yeah, just really focusing on staying inside the ball and then giving myself enough room to to get my hands extended.
Who would you say that you model your swing or your game after? Who is the kind of guys that you looked up to growing up and stuff?
Growing up was always Big Poppy, just because he was a big lefty, like big lefty that just hit bombs, and he was so clutch. Like I remember watching him in the postseason when I was little, and just the look in his eyes whenever he would go to the plate, I was like, "There's no way you can beat that guy." Like just look in his eyes and tell me that he's not getting a hit right now in this moment. I mean, you couldn't do it. Like he was never scared of anything, and it was always like it was a fight between him and the pitcher. So I always loved watching him play because even though he wasn't like known for crazy hustle or crazy speed or anything like that, he never took a pitch off. So it was always nice to watch him play. And then I would say in today's game, probably like maybe like a Matt Olson. Like obviously I don't have 42 home runs this year, but we no, like I mean he punches out some. I mean but he has pop and he uses the whole field, and he has a very simple swing. Like he doesn't really ever look rushed. I mean, he's a big guy that uses his size to advantage. So I use my strength to my advantage and just try to keep everything as simple as possible. And plus, on the defensive side of things, like he's always one of the best defensive first basemen in the league, and that's one thing that I take a lot of pride in is being able to defend the baseball and take runs away from other guys because that helps your team every day.
Yeah,
That's good.
100%.
Yeah, it does. First basemen matter. Thomas and Casey,
do.
you stupid middle infielders.
Hey,
I was corner infielder until I played club ball, and I was the most athletic on the team. So that's why I played shortstop. But
I'm mainly talking about Casey.
I was going to ask one last question. What's one stadium or one team that you just love going and playing against? Or I heard that you mentioned you went and played at Tennessee this past year. What's the stadium or an environment that you just love playing in?
Well, I would say my like the coolest one for me so far was when we went and played at UNC this past year. I started there, and I live 45, 50 minutes from UNC, so I mean I had a bunch of family there, a bunch of friends there, and a couple of my buddies that like play like at UNCG and A&T and stuff. They were there because they didn't have a midweek game that day, so they drove down to watch, and it was cool having a bunch of like family support and everything there. And I grew up a UNC fan, if y'all couldn't tell. So this has been, I mean, it was like a lifelong dream just to play in a college baseball game there, and ended up getting to do it. And so it was a really good time. But I would say the craziest environment, like obviously UNC baseball game, they pack out pretty much every game there. It was loud, but it wasn't. We went and played a weekend series down at Oregon State this past year, and that was loud. Like it was the last regular season weekend, and it was jam packed. Everybody was in there, and they had this Australian kid, and I'll never forget the chant. They had this Australian kid leading off for them, and he was a demon. And they every time that he would step into the box, they go Aussie, 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 and then like one side of the stadium would say that, and then the other side would go Oi, Oi, Oi. And then I was like, dude, like this place is shaking right now, and he hasn't even like seen a pitch yet. But we played Tennessee the last year. Well, we played them every year that I've been in college, but like not this past year, but the year before when they first broke into number one. It was their first time being number one in however long. And we played them literally the day after they got named number one in the country, and there was right at 6,000 or 7,000 people there for a midweek game, like on a Wednesday night, and stadium was shaking. Like Ben Joyce came in to throw, and as soon as they heard his like pitching song start, it was just like the place erupted. And then you see this guy where you've been watching him on wheels for the last 3 weeks throw a billion miles an hour come into the game, and we could hear him warming up before we saw him warming up.
Sheesh.
And he was warming up behind the right field foul pole, and we were in the third base dugout, and all you hear is pow, and I thought I legitimately turned to my buddy in the dugout, and I was like, was that a gunshot? And they go, I don't know. And then you hear it again, and I was like, I think somebody's like lighting something up in the bullpen right now. And then we see this dude like kind of walk down and grab some water, and I was like, God, he's huge. That's Joyce. Here he comes. But thank God I hit the inning before he came in. I hit the inning before he came in, hit a single up the middle. And that play, I got booed for hitting a single up the middle. We were getting beat like 9-1 or 9-2 or something like that. Like,
Oh my God.
I was like, dude, what the heck's happening? But yeah, it's a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
So you played against like Drew Gilbert and stuff?
yeah, I got to watch Drew Gilbert, Jordan Beck,
Jeez.
like face Philip Lindsay this past year, which was a first round pick. I mean, just pretty much anybody that's played for them in the last 3 years I've played against. So
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Outside of Tennessee, who has been like the most intimidating person to face, or just like a player that like every time you guys play just seems to have a day against you guys?
I think it's been a different person every year. Like, there's just one guy that we can just never get out. And my freshman year, it felt like, who was it? It was Max Pinto from Samford. He was, no, freshman year it was Towns King. Towns King torched us. Ended up going to Oregon this past year. And then in the tournament, we couldn't get their leadoff batter, Max Pinto, out. He ended up hitting a walk-off against us in the SoCon championship game that year. And then last year, it was, like this past year, it was a kid from VMI that I think he hit 5 homers in 2 games against us, and then the Sunday game got rained out. Like,
Jeez.
I think he was like 7 for 9 or something like that with 5 homers and 2 doubles. Like,
Just
he
put him
couldn't
on.
miss a barrel.
Sounds like my stat line.
Oh man.
What's your walk-up song?
So this past summer I did like a joke one at first. I did the area code song from TikTok, like the lobster and pasta. Yeah. So I did that as a joke, and then started kind of mashing with it. So I left it for a while, and then started struggling, and then moved it to a reggae song that's "Welcome to Jamrock."
Okay.
So I think that one might hang out for a little
Yeah.
while.
I hear you.
That's about.
He had the
Speaking of
goat
summer
walk-up
league,
song.
I guess. Which was?
Texas. Ever heard of it?
Oh,
I can't sing the lyrics on this
Come on.
podcast, but
I did do that. I did that for
Gotta keep it clean. Yeah.
I did that for a week and didn't get a hit all week. So I was like, no, this one isn't working.
Didn't work like it did for Kyle Tucker for you.
No.
Oh man. I guess one question I have is just like, what was your experience with summer ball? Because I grew up in Wilson, North Carolina, where we've got the tops from the CPL. So I guess like, what was your experience within like that level of a league?
I've absolutely loved it. So I played there all summer this past year, and then played the second half of the summer last year there. It's just, I mean, every day you're going to go out and be facing dudes that can like throw strikes. It's going to be firm. Like, you're facing some of the best arms in the country. So it's a lot of fun. It's very competitive. Like, they're great atmospheres, to be honest with you. Like, we went and played the last game of the season in Norfolk, Virginia at the Peninsula Pilots, and there was right at 5,000 people there.
Yeah.
And that place is a lot of fun to play at. The Tri-City Chili Peppers is a lot of fun to play at, and there's just a lot of good crowds. Like even we went and played down in Wilson on a Tuesday night, and there was the place was packed out. So
Yeah, I see the schedule your mom
what's
had
Kale doing? I
written
lost
out.
him. So yeah, I mean it's very competitive. There's a lot of good ball players. You're definitely going to be in front of scouts every day. Like there's plenty of chances to get picked up and stuff like that. So
Yeah, well, that's kind of a perfect segue into the next question of like playing in front of scouts, seeing other guys getting scouted, seeing yourself getting scouted. What's kind of the experience? Like I know over the past few years, a couple guys from Western have either gotten drafted or signed free agent contracts. So I guess like what's kind of that, as a teammate, what's that experience like? And then what is, I guess for you, like what are you looking forward to in the next year of as far as like, okay, can I get an opportunity to play at the next level? What does that kind of look like for you?
I mean, as a teammate, it's one of the coolest things ever because you like know going in like who the best players are pretty much, and who like really has a chance of getting drafted. And what are you doing,
Dude? I'm fighting for my life with this little desk.
So
For my life, y'all killing me with this stuff.
I'm a big man.
anyway, you can't count on Kale for anything.
Chance.
But I mean, coming in my freshman year, Justice Bigby was an absolute dog. He ended up getting drafted. Just going to the cage with him every day and basically just like jumping on his back and being like, show me how you work and show me how you do things, because he played the game the right way. He wasn't like super loud, wasn't flashy at all. The kid just was a grinder and it paid off. And so I've taken a lot of the things that he taught me, and it was more of just like how to carry yourself, how to work every day, how to basically, it's like off days aren't off days. It's just you can actually do what you want to do that day. And so it's more of learning how to use your time, and especially like time management, because high school baseball, you're at practice from 3:30 to 6 and then you go home. But you don't have a chance to go down there early, hit extra, like stay after, go to the training room, take care of your body, all that kind of crap. So seeing guys work the way they do, and more of their mindset. It's not really a talent thing because everybody there is talented. It's more of seeing how they view the game of baseball and how they carry themselves, because we all know that baseball is very mental. And so watching how they deal with failure and move on from it. So, that's what I've learned from them. And then on my side of the thing, like talk to the Twins, talk to the Mariners, and talk to the Braves. And so it's been pretty cool. Like I had a chance this past year to possibly get popped if I had a really good year in school ball, and just didn't put it together. I mean, it happens. Everybody struggles sometimes. So hopefully I can turn it around. And really, I mean, I was basically putting way too much pressure on myself. Like I had these goals. I was like, you got to be on pace for this by this date and all this kind of stuff. And I was putting way too much pressure on myself. I was thinking about stuff that was weeks down the road whenever I was in the box, and it was just like, you got to be here right now. So that's kind of how I played all summer. Had a really good summer, and got back talking to these guys, and then went to and then like going into the fall, obviously pro day. Hopefully have a good day, and then keep talking to these guys. Hopefully have some like, not really tryouts, but like workouts and stuff like that with them over winter break, like hit for them and stuff. And then hopefully I have a good year and get a chance. So,
yeah, very cool. So let me ask you this, because obviously we all played D3, so we never got these conversations. When you're either on the phone call or in the room, what does that conversation look like?
Speak for yourself. I had a workout with the Texas Rangers. Thank you very much. True story. I'm not BSing. Yeah, in person.
Prince Fielder Part 2.
All right, we'll see.
Well, no,
Anyways.
it's over
Drew,
now.
What is that? What are those?
It's
what are those
it's far from over now.
And then you woke up.
No, so like basically like they'll reach out to your coach, and then your coach is
Okay.
like, hey, these guys are going to email you or text you or something, and
Right.
so you fill out like the email questionnaire, and then you talk to them on the
Right.
phone, and basically like for the longest time, like they've already seen you play, or they wouldn't be talking to you. They know the kind of player and stuff you are. They just are more trying to figure out the kind of person you are. And so
Right.
they'll just sit there and talk to you about life. I mean, it's not really like they'll ask you a couple questions here and there about baseball and stuff, but it's more of like they're talking to your coaches, and like they'll even email some of your teammates and be like, what kind of teammate is this guy and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
that's more of the level that I've gotten to. I'm just like obviously played in front of a bunch of them, playing like for one of the top teams in the country in high school. Like some of my friends that were on that team got drafted out of high school, playing like in the CPL and playing it like in a higher level of college baseball. You're going to play in front of scouts a lot too. So
Right.
I mean, they've all seen you play. They just want to try to figure out who you are before they draft you, because a lot of the time they'll take a little bit less skilled baseball player for a better person, because they know that those people are going to last longer.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, and real quick, just I want to give Drew some flowers, because am I proud of him as a baseball player? 100%. But Drew, we talk about your walk with Christ, and because he led FCA this past year for West Carolina, and he told me an awesome story about some of his teammates. And if you don't feel comfortable, that's fine. But that's something that I can't tell you how proud of I am as an older cousin. And we talk about that for a while before I get emotional.
Yeah.
You got some tears coming into the pod. Go.
No, yeah, I mean, that's definitely something that over the last, I'd say year and a half, so since pretty much the end of my sophomore year, I've grown leaps and bounds in my like walk with Christ. And pretty much after my sophomore year, like I was always a believer, and I always was like, I would go to church when I had the chance and stuff like that, but was never really in like the forefront of my life. And I was like, like baseball is very fleeting, and it's something that we devote our lives to for so long, and then just finding that wasn't fleeting, that's something that we'll always have.
Right.
So doing that, and then taking over with FCA and being one of the leaders this past year, it was really life changing, because I never really like went out of my way to talk to people about Christ.
Right.
Like if we were at church, I would talk about it and stuff, but I would never talk to my teammates about it, and I would never try to give advice out of the Bible and stuff like that. But the last year and a half, 2 years, I've really just been like pushing myself to share the gospel more. And I understand you're always going to have some people that don't believe or don't want to be a part of it or anything like that, and you can't do anything about that. But the people that you can like help and help bring to God is awesome. And I ended up having 7 of my teammates get saved this past year at
wow.
FCA rallies.
Man,
Yeah,
that's
and
really
that
cool.
was me being one of the leaders. I was up helping out and everything, and we were we were like at the end of one of the guest speakers things, and the first time it happened, it was 4 of them, and he was like, and if anybody in here tonight would like to get saved, please raise your hand, and I will say it and we'll say like the prayer together. 4 of my teammates shoot their hands up, and I was like I was just looking around, and I was like, oh my goodness. And so I was basically losing it on the inside, trying not to act like it was a huge deal or anything, which it is. But it was my first time ever like bringing people to Christ, and really like seeing other people give their life to Christ because of something that I helped out with. So it was really neat.
Very
That's
cool.
awesome. Yeah.
You think that brought like a different I mean, obviously, like a different changed relationship between the two of you, but like a different dynamic within the team, having multiple guys kind of coming around, following Christ, and being teammates at the same time.
Oh yeah, for sure. We actually had a team Bible study that we all know how like one of the 3-day weekends are, where you play Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Everybody's tired as crap on Sunday mornings. Nobody wants to get out of bed. Nobody wants to get to the field early. We would have probably like 15 to 18 dudes on average show up an hour before BP started to do a Bible study on
Praise
Sunday
God.
mornings, because we weren't able to go to church together. And like even on the road, I mean, we would go before like our team meetings. We would go to the meeting room. We would like meet in the lobbies of hotels. It was really cool to see like everybody wanting to be flexible to get in the Word of God, and using every opportunity we had to share stuff. A couple of my teammates and I had a group chat all summer where we would take turns each day we would send our devotional in and use that as like a mini Bible study. Like every day we would send what we're reading in, and then send commentary with it, and then like the next dude would do the next day and stuff like that, and we would just hold everybody accountable by doing that. So,
man, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's very cool to hear. Yeah. Cool, man. Sweet. Kale, you got anything else?
Not right now.
If you start talking, you gonna cry?
Yep.
Hey, we get it. Well, Drew, man, we really appreciate it. This has been awesome. Been cool to get to know you a little bit. Just hear kind of your story, hear your heart behind a lot of things, recruiting, baseball, and Christ as well. So we really appreciate you coming on. I'm sure we'll talk more in the future, but yeah, that's about all I got. Casey, you got anything?
Just good luck this coming season.
Yeah.
Wish nothing but the best for you, and yeah, man, get after it. Go win a championship.
Yeah, I need you to have a good year
yes,
so you
sir.
can
I
get
appreciate
drafted,
it, guys. Thank y'all for having me on.
and I can ride your coattails.
You can live up vicariously through them.
Yep.
Hey, Kel and I have already made a deal that if I ever go play pro ball, he's going to be my body.
Nobody's going to mess with you then, that's for sure. Well, cool. Well, that's about all we got, but I appreciate everybody for tuning in.
Love you, buddy.
We'll be back again next week, I guess.
Yeah.
Sweet. Appreciate it. Love you. Bye.